a bit of a background around our network for a start, because we already had my region was Tasmania, whole Tasmania, Wynn and Flinders Island. So it's a fairly big area. Because our peak in Tasmania was one person, we already had a network that was established, and our network just isn't, it's open network now, and it consists of aged care service providers, RTOs, State Training Authority, Tasmania Care Local, in other words, any stakeholder that has a role to play in organisational and workforce development. When we started to look at what we might want to do, $80,000, that's great, but how can we make that go further? And what we thought was very important to take that strategic approach. As an industry, we already had a whole of sector industry skills plan. So what we thought we wanted to look at was more effectively attracting, recruiting and retaining our workforce, and providing structured career pathways. We also wanted to look at the collaboration around some of the IT solutions that are becoming more and more available to our sector. So, and they all sit together. So they leverage off. For example, we've done an employment register that will then go online, and then we've got an online learning management system that supports mandatory competencies, online induction, contractor induction. So there's a whole range of different things that we've done. We've looked at sustainability, and a part of that is using funding that is available on a current basis, and also building in processes that embed into practice rather than a one-offs. So we had our workforce, first thing we did, well not the first thing, we had a workforce forum around some of the issues we might like to see addressed in our attraction, recruitment and retention strategy. Now in those folders, you've got copies of some of the documents and some of the programs that I'm going to be talking about. One of the first things we decided to do was to look at attraction and recruitment, and come up with the concept of doing a whole of sector employment register. So instead of 40 organisations spending $40,000 or advertising, we put in one advertisement and facilitated a holistic recruitment process for support workers and for care assistants. So the first thing we did was educate, and what we wanted to do was make it cost effective and efficient. So the first thing we needed to do was to educate referral agencies who may be referring people to or encouraging them to apply. This is the type of people we need to work in our sector. There was a document that we did that produced that. We developed up a language literacy and numeracy screening tool, because we say it must have high levels of literacy and numeracy, but what does that mean? So we developed up an industry specific, so the things are around aged care services sector, and we disseminated that. To be able to apply, you needed to get online and come to an information, express an interest to come to an information session. Lost some people there. To apply, you actually needed to attend the information session. Got rid of the next lot there. At the information session, we had them in each region of the state. We had real people, so as I used to say, the support workers, the people that were actually doing the job, and they were telling and sharing the good, the bad and the ugly. So people were getting a very realistic understanding of, was this really something for them? And also past that point, we then emailed out the applications, and they needed to email the application back. Got rid of another lot then. So what we've ended up with are people that are really sure and dedicated that they want to work in the sector. And in the normal instance, 20 or 30 organisations would have had to do all of that themselves. Then once we've got the applications, we've rated them 3, 2, 1, and then as organisations ask for people that meet, we send off the applications to them. Our next thing is to, in line with our IT&E strategy, is to put that online, and that's how we can make it sustainable. We also don't want anyone, once you're in there, you're caught. So as part of that session, we identified that there was really the particular cohorts. There was our recruitment had a stream for people that had qualifications and a stream for people that didn't. And the second part of what we're doing was developing up an industry designed on-the-job training program. So back to the employment sessions, information sessions, it became, and this was something that we didn't think had happened, but it was really clear that there was a different cohorts. There was the people that will be great for that on-the-job training model. There's the ones that could do the pre-employment programs. There was some with that little bit of extra support, whether it be around literacy, numeracy, or around their confidence and self-esteem, that would be great workers. So there's a pre-employment program that we need to run, and there was those that needed to be told, sorry, you're never going to get a job in our sector, perhaps you might need to look at something else. And, you know, if they're not told that by their job service providers and by employers, then they just setting themselves up to fail. So then we had that, and at the same time as what we were doing that, we were developing up, the other issue was addressing the standard and the consistency of training of our workforce around the Cert 3 qualification. And over the last year or so, we've been doing lots of work with RTOs. So in each region of the state, we set up a steering group, because what we need to do is embed this in practice. That's how it became sustainable, where organisations who were interested in participating would drive the process. So we had a whole statewide framework with regions working under that framework. In the same time as we're developing up that program, we wanted to address the fact that a lot of people that are getting home care qualifications are getting them in the context of aged care, because that's how the resources are developed. So we had the two streams, we had home care and aged care, and the RTOs needed to specifically address the requirements. So we've come up with an industry designed and driven program that is both aged care and HAC related, home care related, and in doing that, we're educating RTOs. So those RTOs are then becoming educated so that they can do that in the pre-employment programs as well. And even if they're not one of the 4 selected RTOs, we have the RTO roundtables where we go and we all share this. We have people from our sector that are going and delivering things like, because how can we expect RTOs to deliver consumer debt to care and about the aged care reform? We don't know how they expected to know. So we recognise that we have that responsibility to do those things as well. So each region interviewed the RTOs who expressed an interest about participating, and selected the RTO that they wanted to work with in that region, and we ended up with 4 different RTOs. But what's happened is that the RTOs are all working together. They've all worked together to develop the program, they moderate, and some of them even co-deliver. So that's created efficiencies and saved money in that space as well. The training is all funded through recurrent funding, so it's funding that we can get on an ongoing basis. So we're not having to wait for grants and special programs to do that. What we've ended up with is the organisation said that they needed people to be, if they're new people coming into the workplace, we wanted them to be productive hitting the floor, but at the same time we didn't think that we wanted to provide a base level for them to work off and further develop their skills over a year as they're working in the workplace. So we have 3 weeks upfront training. It's not assessment, it's not, well, you will do these units of competence. It will be, you will do work health and safety, manual handling, basic level, you know, an understanding of what the aged care services sector is, you know, so it's those basic things, making beds, providing personal care. So they've had 3 weeks of that. Then there's a day a week for 4 weeks. So I've started work now. I come in a day a week, and it's that debrief, it's that, you know, validating of what they learnt. Then they have monthly workshops. They have a mentor in the workplace. They have RTO visits, site visits, and they have self-paced learning material. So that makes up the framework of the program. We also identified that, yes, we thought this was a great program, but we also have people within our workforce already that might want to upskill. So we have 2 streams in that. We have the ones without the qualification who can be recruited through the employment register, and we have an in-service stream. So where do people come in and at what level? They came in at, that's determined through an interview process, I suppose, with the organisation, the RTO and the participant, so we can work out where their base knowledge and skills are at now. Because what we're aiming to do is to provide the best opportunity for them to develop to the way that we want them to develop. We had the first intake last year, 53 people started, 53 people are still engaged, and we're starting another group of 60 in April. So, and once again, it's industry that have driven the whole process. RTOs now know that, you know, we're starting to get to the stage where we know there will be a recruitment every 6 months. So we are getting people, if you want to, even with the employment register. So we've also developed an online induction, learning, and training professional development, contractor induction system that, and we've concentrated on mandatory competencies. So this is post your training, because everybody's got to do those every 12 months. The money that we spend on mandatory competency training, when we could be actually upskilling and using that money for other things, when we can use a system like this. So that's, we've had at the moment it is, but we're happy to share once we've got it all bedded down, because you can actually, we've come up with a model where you can use it as an industry where we will support it and you will be part of it, or you can have it and value add, so it can look like your organisation. You know, so instead of paying $30,000 a year for something like that, you own it. You know, so it's been, you know, and
we have got an online learning, but I've noticed got elder abuse, so I don't want to have to develop it myself.
No, but it's not so much about the content, isn't it? It's got quizzes in it, so we do all this training, but half the time we don't bother to find out if people, and that's the back end reports. So it's the, yeah, there's a whole.